On the 17th March 2018, the world head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, delivered the keynote address at the 15th National Peace Symposium hosted by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the UK. The event was held at the Badr Mosque in London, with an audience of more than 1,000 people from 27 countries, including nearly 600 non-Ahmadi guests comprising of government ministers, ambassadors of state, members of both Houses of Parliament, and various other dignitaries and guests. Prior to the event, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, held a sitting with various journalists and media outlets. During the event, His Holiness presented Dr. Leonid Rochal, a noted pediatrician from Moscow, Russia, with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Prize for the Advancement of Peace in recognition of his outstanding services to humanity.
We are honored to award him the Ahmadiyya Muslim Peace Prize for the Advancement of Peace, and Dr. Rochal's pressing duties meant he could not attend in person tonight, but his personal representative and international director, Ms. Angelina Axlikia, has traveled all the way from Moscow to receive the award on behalf of Dr. Rochal. I would now request His Holiness to kindly present this award on behalf of Dr. Rochal.
Thank you. Yes, please.
During his address, His Holiness touched on a number of contemporary issues. In particular, he mentioned the international arms trade and the devastating effects it is having around the world.
Quite openly and proudly, the major powers are trading arms that are being used to kill, maim, and brutalize innocent people. Regrettably, such nations are focused only on attempts to boost their economy and to maximize their nation's capital, without pausing for thought at the consequences. They desperately seek to attain the largest possible contracts to sell destructive weapons that, once fired, do not distinguish between the innocent and the guilty. They proudly sell weapons that make no exceptions for children, women, or infirm. They shamelessly sell weapons that engulf and obliterate towns and cities indiscriminately, whilst the economies of the selling countries may attain short-term benefit. Their hands are covered in the blood of hundreds of thousands of people. One of the main arguments made by those in favor of the arms industry is that procuring weapons is a means of deterrence and keeping the peace. However, we only have to switch on our televisions and watch the news for a minute to see that such arguments are misleading and patently false. Certainly, the thousands of innocent children who have lost their parents or have lost their own limbs will never be convinced by such logic. Nor will the thousands of women who have been left widowed or the millions of people who have been displaced from their homes.
Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, then touched on the foreign policy of some nations and how they seem to have forgotten lessons of the past.
In many instances, it seems that the world has not learned from its past mistakes. It is widely accepted that the Iraq War of 2003 was unjust and based on false pretenses, whilst Libya has descended into chaos and become a hotbed of extremism since Western powers took action there some years ago.
His Holiness also spoke powerfully on how the world needed to change its priorities.
Instead of embarking on an arms race leading to death and destruction, we must join the race to save and protect humanity. Instead of shutting down borders and ports in warring countries, causing for innocent children to be left starving, and the sick being deprived of medical treatment, we must open our hearts to one another, knock down the walls that divide us, feed the hungry, and help those who are suffering.
His Holiness concluded with his sincere desire for the world to look to the future and not just the present.
With all my heart, I pray that mankind comes to recognize its duties to one another, so that those who follow us remember us with pride and gratitude. Let us look to tomorrow and not just today. Let us save our future generation. May Allah grant us wisdom. I thank all of you once again for joining us here this evening. Thank you very much.
After the event, His Holiness took the time to personally meet those in attendance. MTA News also spoke to some of the guests to get their views on the event.
I thought His Holiness was particularly strong, if I may say so, on identifying an absence of religion in a lot of the terrorist activity that we see, because many of the people who write to me believe that the religion is the problem and that activity is being carried out in the name of the religion. Actually, it is an absence of knowledge about religion that causes so much of the violence in the world, and that's the message that I will take from this evening.
I think that His Holiness was speaking about why do we hold these meetings when there is no peace? This is what people say, why do we hold these meetings? And he answered that question. He said, because we believe in peace, and because we believe in peace, then we have to speak out for peace. And I absolutely agree with that. I think that even though peace may seem a long way away in our world, we still have to speak out for peace, and we have to promote peace.
Well, I think His Holiness addressed that this evening, the importance of peace and security across an increasingly hostile world. And I think the Ahmadiyya community have consistently proven themselves to be a community of peace and solidarity, regardless of religion or indeed political outlook.
We have to have religious leaders and the religious people coming together in these types of settings to talk about peace and how important it is. And it's always a huge honour to listen to His Holiness, who has such clarity in his thoughts on this issue.
The event concluded with a congregational silent prayer led by His Holiness.